Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Zsuzsi. How are we all doing today? Well, I am here today with a super fun video because today we are going to tier rank every single fantasy book that I read in 2023. According to Goodreads, or according to what I logged in Goodreads, I read a total of 130 books. And out of these 130 books, 60 were fantasy and romantasy. So we have a lot of books to cover. To be honest, I do read a lot of fantasy every single year, but this year it was something else. It was something else. All right, so first let's discuss the tiers. I made 4 tiers, and on top of the list is the God tier, of course, and I named this God Herself Could Never. These are the books that are insanely good and they've never been done before and they mean everything to me. The tier below that, Icon in Training. Now these are the books that are insanely good, 5 stars, 6 stars, but ... something was just missing that didn't make these books into my all-time favorite. Then we also have another tier called Fun Times. These are the books that are the average books. I had a fun time reading these books, but at the end of the day they are just average and they ended up just being a little bit meh. And then the bottom tier, the books that I never want to read again, like ever again. I want to forget that I read these books. Okay, so now I'm going to minimize myself and let's get to the tier ranking. Okay, the first book on my list is The Wrath and the Dawn. And you know what? This is going here. Icon in Training. I adore this book. This is basically the retelling of Scheherazade and her story. I hope I said that name correctly because I always struggle with the pronunciation. And I think that the setting was beautiful and the writing of the author is excellent. She did an excellent job with the world building and I thoroughly enjoyed the first book. Now the second book, because that is the next on the list, however, this is a book that I want to forget about. I want to forget that I ever read this book. This book was boring. This book was unnecessary. And there was a character assassination in this book that I will never forgive to the author. Honestly, I think I said the same thing in my review. She should have just published these 2 books attached to each other, making the second one 200 pages shorter and publish everything as a standalone. That would have been the perfect book. But that's not what she did. Okay, next is The Breach Kingdom. This was fun times. I really adore Daniel L. Jensen's writing, and the audiobook, which I got free from Audible, was really excellently done. So I enjoyed it. Okay, next book on the list, Mirror and Maze. This is just the short story in the Wrath of Dawn universe, and I think that while the writing was excellent, we didn't need this short story. We did not need this short story at all. Ooh, the next one. This is also a short novella in a Master of Jinn universe by Peter G. Clark, and I have to say the same thing. I think that the writing of the author is excellent and I cannot wait to read the full-length novel, but I didn't enjoy this novella because of misadvertisement. When you look at the title and when you look at the cover, you expect a fantasy thriller, but that's not what you get. No, so I unfortunately didn't enjoy this novella, but again, I cannot wait to read the full-length novel. And then the next book, An Enchantment of Ravens. Where to put this one? Ooh, I'm gonna put it in Fun Times. This was my first Margaret Rogerson book, and she is one of my favorite romantasy author. I love her characters and I love her world building. And if you've never read anything from Margaret Rogerson, please pick up a book from her. You will not be disappointed. An Enchantment of Ravens, this was really good. And this is a standalone, and it is very rare to find fantasy that's standalone. And she did an excellent job in this book. I enjoyed. And then the next book, Crown and Arrow, that is again a short story in the Red and Dawn universe, and I don't remember what this short story was about, so this is going here. But then the next short story in this universe, The Moth and Flame, I loved it. This was Fun Times. This is a short story that followed side characters and not the main characters. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it, because we all know that I'm a side character kind of bitch. So this was amazing. I really liked it. I love this short story. Next, Down Among the Sticks and Bone. This is the second book in the award-winning Wayward Children series written by Shannon Maguire. And honestly, it was Fun Times. I think that the world building is excellent. I think that the plot itself and the characters, everything was excellently done. But I don't understand the hype for this series. I am going to continue when I need just a very short 100 pages long fantasy book. I think that these books are perfect, but it's just Fun Times. Like I don't understand the hype around this book. Next is ACOTAR. And if you have been around in this channel for a while, then you know that this book, especially the first book in the series, that is freaking god tier, because this book is everything to me. This is the book that showed me that I can read romantasy or fantasy romance and I can love it. And I am so thankful for Sarah J. Maas for showing me that. And people are usually surprised when I say that the first book is my favorite, but it is. It is, because this is the world that introduced me to the world, to Prythian, and I think that it's a very vivid and rich world that I enjoy. And every single time I pick up these books, I cannot wait to go back to Prythian. But also, some of my favorite characters, Lucian, they were introduced in this book, and I cannot wait for their stories to come to completion. I adore the first book in the series. And then the second book, A Court of Mist and Fury, I think this is an icon. I don't think that this is the best book in the series. Like everybody, describes this book as the book in the series. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much, but still, to me, personally, it is the first book because I have an emotional connection to that book. Ooh, Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is also an icon. I love this book. Nobody writes like Margaret Rogerson. So fun, so unique. Honestly, pick up her books. You're not gonna regret it. And if you have to choose which one, I recommend Sorcery of Thorns. Amazing, amazing book. I loved it so much. Now the next on my list is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And you know what? The very first book in the series, icon. I loved it. I loved the first book. I think it was really good. I didn't see the twists coming at all. I enjoyed. I loved it. So it's an icon. A Court of Silver Flames. Now that goes next to ACOTAR. If, and this is a big if, but if I had to choose between these two, I'm going for A Court of Silver Flames. I adore Nesta as a character, and I think that this book was an excellent character study. I think that Sarah J. Maas did an amazing work in this book. I loved it. I loved it. So maybe this is my favorite. Sorry, Alcotar, but Court of Silver Flames, oh, so good. Oh Jesus, it was so good. Next, These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. Now this is the first book in this duology, and you know what? The very first book, it was fun times. I read this one after Akutar. This was a recommendation just because it's about fairies. And honestly, right after reading Akutar, this book very much felt like a middle grade book. It is not, it is young adult, but it felt like a middle grade book, and it was okay. I cannot say that I had the best time reading this book, but it was okay. I had fun, but I expected a little bit more. And then the second book in the Bridge Kingdom series, oh, this one was not good. Was not good. Maybe I'm going to regret putting this book into the bottom tier, but I had the same feeling like I had when reading The Rat and the Dawn, the second book, because this book was also boring and unnecessary. Daniel L. Jensen should have just published The Bridge Kingdom, the first book, should have made it 100 books longer, summarize everything that happened in the second book, and that's enough. It should have been a standalone, because this is still an ongoing series. And I like her world, I like her writing, and I am continuing the series, but I didn't like this second book. I just couldn't wait for this book to finish and to be done with it. Ooh, Siren Queen. You know what? I'm going to put this into fun times because this book, oh wait, what happened here? Like that. Yeah. This book, I've seen people describing it as a fantasy LGBTQ version of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I think it's correct. I think it's correct, and I had a fun time reading this book, and I ultimately recommend this book. This is not a fantasy romance, this is just a simple fantasy, and this is following an actress in old golden era Hollywood. So the setting is beautiful, and I had fun reading it. All right, another book in the From Blood and Ash series. I don't know where to put this book, honestly, because I really liked From Blood and Ash. But then the books that followed the first one, they were not exactly my favorite, unfortunately. And A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, I don't remember what this one was about. It is super smutty, so I remember that there was a lot of sexy time in the book, but I don't remember the plot, so it has to go to the bottom tier. But honestly, I don't think I remember the plot of any of the sequels in the From Blood and Ash series, other than the sexy time, so that's gonna be tough for me to rate those ones. Okay, A Court of Frost and Starlight. You know what? It was fun times. This book was written for the fans, and we basically spent Christmas with the characters in Akotar. I had a fun time. It was actually really curious for me to see how the main characters and the side characters behave when there is no war, you know? So I had fun times. It was okay, and this book also set up A Court of Silver Flames really nicely, so I know that a lot of people hate on this book. I personally don't. I had a good time. Ooh, next is the second book in Crescent City, and that's the same. I had fun times with this book. Again, I know that a lot of people hate on this book. I don't know why. I love this book for two reasons. One, the bazillions of side characters, and that's what Zsuzsi likes. Give me 10 plus side characters and give me a plot that I can barely follow, because it is hard to follow the plot when you are following 10 people, but that's exactly what I like. And I think that that's what Sarah J. Maas does so excellently. So I like this book. I don't hate on this book. Next one, A Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. That also goes to Fun Times. This is a trilogy. I only read the first book. I am reading everything that T. Kingfisher has ever written because she's so fun, and her approach when it comes to feminism is excellent, and I really liked the first book. I cannot wait to read the other two books in this series. Rose for a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Oh my god, this has to go to God tier. You know what? I adore this book. Reading this book to me was like reading a fairy tale and being a little girl again. I loved it. I really did. I really did. Medusa by Jessie Burton. Fun Times. Fun Times. This was a Medusa retelling that, in my opinion, was very, very nicely done, but the author should have made this book longer and give us a really nice full-length feminist Medusa retelling. So it wasn't perfect, but I very much enjoyed this book. Okay, what is this? A Shadow in the Amber. Oh, this is another Jennifer L. Armentrout book, and this is the prequel to From Blood and Ash, and A Shadow in the Amber. This is the first book, and you know what? It was Fun Times. I had a lot of issues with the female character. I don't know why Jennifer L. Armentrout is writing the female character in this book, so annoying, but the first one was still okay. These Twisted Bonds, absolute trash. This is the second book to these Hollowed Wows. Absolute trash. I hated this book. Oh god, this was so bad. It was twisted, okay? That's exactly what it was. And no thank you. No thank you. I couldn't follow what was happening in this book. A Light in the Flame. This is the second book in the prequel to From Blood and Ash. And no, not today. You know what? I did not like this book. Again, it was a little bit of struggle because of how Jennifer L. Armentrout is writing that female main character. Nope, no thank you. Next on the list is Cruel Beauty. And you know what? Fun Times. This was Fun Times. This was the first book that I read after reading Akotar, in a sense that this is supposed to be another Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it is, and it's very unique. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling that you've never read before. So yeah, Fun Times. It was not iconic, I cannot say that, but it was Fun Times. Every Heart is a Doorway. The first book in the Wayward Children series is the same as the second book. Fun Times, but again, I don't understand the hype. I really don't. Please explain it to me. Why is everybody so crazy about this fantasy series? I don't understand. A Ballad of Never After. You know what? Icon. I really enjoyed this second book. This was perfect. This is not what I expected. This book was not boring, like usually the second books are in a series, and set up the third book perfectly. And the way this book ended, that was really nicely done, Stephanie. She ensured that after reading this second book, everybody's going to buy the third one, that's for sure. A Court of Wings and Ruin, icon. I really like this book. Really, really, really like this book. Mostly, again, because of the bazillion of side characters, and we got introduced to the other High Lords in Prythian. And you know what I realized reading this book? Is that there are a lot of single High Lords in Prythian. So J. Maas, just put me in the book. Put me in the book, girl, and I will take care of them. Okay, that's all I can say. A lot of single, handsome, young High Lords. Yeah, it's for me. Okay, next. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Absolute icon. I really, really loved it. I love that this book is describing a dark fae culture, as it should be, because mythologically speaking, the fae or fairies are very dark creatures who are super tricksy and super pranksy and always want to make deals with you that are not exactly beneficial for you. So I love that. I am picking up the second book that is getting released early next year. Divine Rivals. Oh my god, where to put this book? Is it an icon or is it a god? This is God. Oh God, God. I'm gonna put it here. God herself could never. Guys, the hype is real. The hype is real. You need this book in your life. It is a YA, but Rebecca Ross, what she did here. Oh God, just read this book. I cannot wait to read the sequel. And oh, please. I want the sequel to be like really, really good. I need the sequel to be one of the best books ever. What's next? Oh, The Mystery of Thorn Manor. This is a little novella that is the second book after The Sorcery of Thorns. And this is super confusing to me because Sorcery of Thorns is a standalone. So I don't understand why the author published a second like little novella in the series. I am hoping that this book is a connective book and she's going to make Sorcery of Thorns into a series because so good. So good. That series is so good. And I think I'm gonna put it here. Fun Times. But honestly, should I put it here, the bottom tier? Because but I enjoy the characters and I enjoyed being back in the world. So I think Fun Times. But if she's not making this book into a series, then this was like completely unnecessary and useless. So I don't know what the plan is. Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. Freaking God herself could never. The dark T. Kingfisher style retelling of Sleeping Beauty. Read it. And by the way, the cover was illustrated by the author herself. T. Kingfisher is like taking over my life. Dark fairy tale retelling. Like honest, I don't even know what to say other than read this book. Oh my God, it was so good, and really creepy. By the way, it got some elements that were really creepy to me. Oh, what is this? The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is gonna go Fun Times. This is the second book in the Crown of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent. Again, it's an insanely hyped series. I don't necessarily understand the hype, and this second book was not good. The first 60 in this book, the 60% of this book was so boring. Honestly, I was this close to DNF this book. I just cannot, I cannot. When it comes to series and fantasy series, I have this yearning for completion, so I couldn't DNF it. But honestly, I really did not enjoy this second book in the series. No. So I thought, where should I put it? But then because of the second half of the book, it was still fun times. Like the second half really, really picked up, and it's Carissa Broadbent, and I love her writing, and I love her characters, and I love her world. I cannot put it here. I think I'm gonna leave it in fun times, but you really gotta push through that first 60% of the book. A Curse for True Love. Oh no. This finale to the Once Upon a Broken Heart. Oh no. No. This was a very twisted book. It was not a finale, first of all, because the author is writing more books in this series. She tried to do too much. She was trying to set up the other upcoming books in this last book in the trilogy, and because of that we didn't get a finale for the first two books. And I had so many questions reading this book. Like I don't know what's the plan, but it was not good. It was not good. It was one of my most anticipated releases for 2023 and one of the biggest disappointments. I cannot believe, like, when you look at how I rate this series, the first book is an absolute banger, and then the second book is still an icon. Like, it was such a good second book, and then the third one, I'm like, no. Ooh, okay, now we are entering the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Empire of Storm. You know what? Icon. I really like this book. I think this is the 5th book in the series, and we have total 7 or 8. I don't remember. And this one was really good because this is when we get to see Lorcan and Elite and how their relationship develops. And I keep coming back to this, but I am a side character kind of reader, so this was perfect. This was perfect for me, seeing Lorcan and Elliot. They were my favorite couple, by the way, in the Throne of Glass series. And I have no idea why I'm whispering. So this is an icon. 6 Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadbent. Icon. This is the 1.5 books in the Crown of Nyaxia series, and this book follows 2 side characters. And again, we have a theme here, but 2 side characters, Vale and Lilith is a scientist, so icon. What is this? The Red Pearl. Oh, this is that very infamous scene in the From Blood and Ash series that was told from the point of view of the male character and not the female character. Was it necessary? No. But it was not bad. You know what? A fun time. Was it bad? Fun times. Yeah, I'm gonna put it here. Okay, a short story collection by Sarah J. Maas in the Throne of Glass series, The Assassin's Blade. This is gonna go into fun times. Honestly, I think that I did a disservice to this short story collection because I didn't read the short stories in the good order. Like, I don't think that you can just pick up this short story collection and read the 6-7 short stories that are in this book like in a row. You need to break it up, and I didn't read this book correctly, and that's why I had just fun times. The main series, unfortunately, spoiled many things for me that happened in the short stories, but again, it's my fault. But still, I had fun times reading this book, and typical Sarah J. Maas style, she broke my heart. Even her short stories can broke my heart. Though I shouldn't say short story, because still these were like novellas, like 150 pages, 200 pages. That's not a short story. So yeah, fun times. A Dead Jinn in Cairo. Again, a short story in a Master of Jinn series, just like Haunting of Tremkar 13. I don't remember anything that happened in this short story, but I remember that the writing, again, of P.D. Gilly Clark was absolutely excellent. And I stand by my opinion. I want to pick up the full-length novel. A Crown of Gilded Bone. Okay, again, another book in the From Blood and Ash series. I have no idea which one. Where should I put this? Not today. I don't remember anything, so I have to put it in this tier. But I remember like enjoying this. Did I? Or was this the one that really bored me and annoyed me? God, I don't know, because I cannot tell the difference in the sequel anymore. Oh, and another book in the Wayward series, Fun Times. I think that every single book in this series just goes into fun times. Very short, 100 pages, fantasy novella, like it's okay. But again, I keep repeating myself. I don't understand the hype. Okay, oh God, another Jennifer L. Armentrout book, War of Two Queens. Now, you know what? This one, I remember, first of all, and this was the first book in the sequels, and again, she published like 4 or 5, where we actually got a plot and plot development. So I remember having fun with this one. So I'm going to put this one here. A Serpent and the Wings of Night. Oh, now this is super tough for me, guys. This is the first book in the Crown of Nyaxia, right? The book talk sensation that everybody loved. I don't know. I had issues with the world building in this book. The map didn't help. I didn't understand the world here. But oh, was this a good book? It was a good book. Is it an icon? No. It is Fun Times. I cannot put this into icon. Was it as good as these books? Absolutely not. But then again, Carissa Broadbent, the writing, the characters, the world, I don't know. I'm gonna leave it in Fun Times. Throne of Glass. The first book in the Throne of Glass, Fun Times. It was obvious reading this book that Sarah J. Maas was very young when she wrote this series. Like, she started to work on Throne of Glass when she was 16. And honestly, it showed, but respect. Respect to this woman. And the first book was really good. Now the second book, Crown of Midnight, this was absolute trash. I hated this book. I hated this book. Nothing happened in this book. So freaking boring. And the last like 50 pages where she introduced all those plot twists, I saw every single one of them coming. I really did not like the second book. Oh Jesus, it was so boring. Queen of Shadows, Fun Time. There are many significant events happening in this book. Fun times, fun times. Kingdom of Ash, icon. This was the finale, right? And I loved it. Now this book is a freaking 1,000 pages, but it is 1,000 pages because the plot is huge and we are following so many different characters and the timeline and everything is just like so all over the place. And again, that is what I like. Give me a bazillion of side characters, a bazillion of different like things happening in the plot, and you get me. It was a freaking icon. One of the best finales that I've ever read in my life when it comes to fantasy romance. And I remember like I was so emotionally invested reading this book. It was fantastic. Tower of Dawn, icon. I love this. I loved this. This book again follows side characters, and I enjoyed being away from Aileen and Rowan and taking a little bit of break because I felt like I was overexposed. Like for 5 books, we were like all over Aileen and what was happening to her. And I needed a little bit of break. And that's exactly what this book gave me. And I adored the setting. This was the book that made me want to read more books in Arabic setting because in my humble opinion, like, you know, considering everything, the scenery, the food, the clothing, I think that this was very much in an Arabic setting, and I loved it. And I loved how in this book the characters were not like, you know, fighters like in all other Sarah J. Maas books. No, they were just regular, everyday characters who were still able to take on the bad guys without any military training. I loved it. I loved it. I love this book. And I know that there is a Chaol hate going around when it comes to the Throne of Glass, but I never understood that. Why did anybody hate on Chaol? Anyways, I love this book. I love this book. Crescent City, freaking icon. I loved the first book in the series. I mean, I cried in the first 50 pages. Like, this one was a book that broke my heart. Like, that's how we started. And to me, personally, this was my first urban fantasy style of books, and I was super invested. It was not easy for me to understand this book. Like, the first 100 pages and the world and the characters, I didn't get everything like right away, so I really had to work for this book, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Okay, Fourth Wing. You know what? Fun times. I'm gonna say that this book is fun times. I don't understand the hype, because I don't, but I love the dragons. End of story. And Iron Flame, because I also read Iron Flame, and again, I know that many people don't like this book, and it was not a good quality book, that's for sure. What happened here? No, let's not change the order. But I had the same feeling reading these books. They were both just like average. Okay, I had a fun time. I enjoyed being back in the world and the drama. I read this after reading the Ashes and the Starker's King, and this book was so boring to me, like overall, that I couldn't wait to get some drama, and Rebecca Yarros gave me drama. The book itself is a terrible quality book, but let's not go there. Let's not go there. This is not about the book covers, so yeah. Oh, this is it. This is how my tiers look like. Yeah, God herself could never. These 5 books, even if you don't read fantasy, honestly, read these 5 books. Oh, amazing. Next level, absolute everything to me. I will fight whomever for these books. It's like, I love them. Icons, yes, every single one of them. I love them. They were not the perfect book, but I love them. 5 stars, 6, so good. Fun times. Oh, I read a lot of fun times books this year. Maybe next year I should be a little bit more picky when I read fantasy or fantasy romance, because we should make sure that I feel this tier, the icon tier and the god tier. And I read a lot of average books. I need to change that in 2024. And then, oh wow, okay, I read a lot of books that I did not enjoy. Okay, yeah, there are changes that we need to introduce in 2024. That's for sure. Well, okay, this is it, guys. This is the end of this video. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed spending some time with me. I enjoyed making this video. This was my first ever, or I should say this is my first ever tier ranking video, and it was fun. It was fun. Let me know if you've read any of these books. I'm pretty sure you did, because I have some huge series on my list. And let me know if you agree with the results of my tier ranking, or you think that I'm wrong and maybe I placed one of your favorite books into the wrong tier. I want to know. Well, hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already done so, you are welcome here. If you want to check out any of my other videos, I will leave them on the screen, probably here and here. And I'll see you soon in an upcoming video. Bye!